Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday night. It's time for another live Wicked Horror Show. I'm Kevin, and as always, I'm joined by Tony Has Nine Fingers.
What is going on, people?
And we're joined again by Angel from That Strange Show. What's going on, Angel?
What's up? Excited tonight?
Oh, yeah. So what you're excited for is that we have a very special guest. He's returning to the show. He's on in the past. He's an all-around good dude, and I challenge anyone to escape finding him on television. Every time I've turned something on, he's just there. So we'd like to welcome back Sean Whalen.
Hey, how is everybody? Thanks for having me.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
I'm super excited that this is happening. So I know you've talked about the project. You've been talking about it for a little while now. I think the last time we had you on, you mentioned it, maybe after the show or something.
I think last time I talked to you guys.
I don't know. It's a couple of years back, pre-pandemic. Yeah, but
pre-pandemic, right?
Yeah, yep. But I think we were at Scaricon in Framingham, and I think you mentioned it to me there as well. So I know this is something that you've been working on. Yeah, for a while. So the movie's called Crust. If you are paying attention to the internet, you've seen little things posted about it everywhere. So do you want to maybe give a little synopsis of your idea for the movie Crust?
Yeah, it started back in 2014. My wife and I got separated in 2014. Cut to 2015. We moved a year and a half later. I got into an apartment, and this is Jasper, everybody.
What up?
I love cats.
So don't mess with me because Jasper's here. He's like my body first.
Oh yeah.
I moved into this apartment in the summer, and we had raised my kids in this place for, they just knew no other home, and we had really cool traditions for Halloween and real cool traditions for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I think I was just kind of really bummed about the holidays. In my ex-wife's wisdom, she goes, "I just think you need to get through the holidays," and but everything hit me. I was in a new relationship, and I went through a pretty serious depression. When I came out the other side, I had just a lot of weird emotions, and it was very strange. And people said, "Oh, you should have had a pet," and I go, "Pet?" Like I couldn't even, figure out how to tie my shoes. Like I was not in great shape. And then years before I had pitched this at a meeting about, you could shoot it cheap. You just have like a guy who collects socks and then becomes a sock monster. And then, that's it. You should shoot it in a laundromat. Well, I remembered that idea. And then I went to the real, kick in the butt was when I did Ugly Sweater Party. If you guys are kind of in the indie
it's
movie.
Up there.
Yeah, Aaron Mento. Oh, have you seen his new one though? 16 Bits?
No, I have not.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I think it's on the festival circuit right now, and that's why. But he basically did an 80s, like a bad 80s fighter game. And the guy comes to life, and but it's so well done. I challenge anybody that if they pull it out in and go, "Oh, this was made in 1979 or 82 or something." It's unbelievably good.
That's awesome. I love when they can trick you. I love when they can trick you.
Because he does it so cheesily, like he nails it. And anyone who's a fan of Ugly Sweater Party will, I think, the first thing when he turned it off, he's like, "So should we do this kind of cool?" I go, "No, dude, this is young John Waters. Like he nailed like a John Waters holiday movie if there was such a thing, Nice. And anyway, when I did Ugly Sweater Party, he knocked out my opening scene and everything I did in the movie in one day on the green screen. Like I was leaving there by like 3 o'clock, and I had done everything. And I said, "Wow, these guys are they're just making stuff happen, you know?" And so it inspired me to go, I got to write this. I got to write this movie. And it just poured out of me. I got my good friend Jim Wald, who's a lifelong friend, and I picked him because, you know, I'm writing a movie about a sock monster, and whenever he and I talk about creative stuff, he was just so hard on making sure everything's, you know, airtight, that they're, you know, you're in a world where a sock creature exists. So you have to have someone like at least make everything else make sense, you know, and he's very much a stickler for that. And plus we make each other laugh pretty hard all the time. So it poured out of me, and then I tried to get it going then with Aaron as the director and stuff like that. And then later I kept going and had great notes from people who gave me really good ideas. And then towards the, you know, like a year or so into it, right before I was trying again, you know, my manager said, I went to my manager and I said, "Look, I'm producing it. I'm starring in it. I co-wrote it. Isn't that great?" And he goes, "Eh." I'm like, "What's wrong with that?" He goes, "No one cares unless you direct it in this town." I go, "That's not true." And he goes, "Yeah, it is." And I went, so I didn't want to, but then I saw this Ron Howard documentary on his master class, and he basically said, "How many actors bail? They bail on directing because they're so afraid of the photography, because you just have to have a DP you trust.
Yeah.
You have to have a DP you trust. They're the director of photography." You know what I mean? So I was definitely a little worried, but then you just kept going through different producers who wanted to do it, but there was always the notes to change it so it can fit on the shelves of Walmart, or, you know, don't forget the foreign market and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not making this for them. I mean, no offense. I'm not making this for everybody. I'm making this with Felissa Rose in my favorite cult movies. I'm in People Under the Stairs, which is certain people's. I'm getting a weird noise.
Yeah, there's a noise.
Does anyone know what that is?
1 second. Sorry.
No, it's
People
okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is it gone?
I can't hear anyone. I'm going to jump out and jump back in. I've been having issues with my my hardware, but keep going by all means.
Yeah, anyway, so so I started to, you know, think about the idea of directing. And, you know, it's when I got into teaching, a good friend of mine said, "Listen, you know more than you think." And it was the same once I started figuring out how to shoot this movie. I know what I like. I know what I don't like, you know?
Yeah.
I like keeping the frame open. So the comedy, if you're doing a comedy and you're doing interactions, you know, certain directors like Todd Field did Tar this year. I don't know if anyone's seen it yet, but did you see Tar? No?
Yeah.
You know, he kept it really open, and like that whole classroom scene was a oneer, you know? That whole amazing, that was a one-shot thing. That classroom.
I would expect that.
Yeah, it was amazing. But he kept it open, and so does, you know, Mel Brooks in Young Frankenstein. You know,
Mel Brooks.
I mean, the Young Frankenstein, because that's what they did in those movies, because they just didn't have time to shoot up. You know, so when he's doing the famous Ovaltine thing, you know, with Cloris Leachman, I mean, they supposedly they ruined so many takes because Gene Wilder could not stop laughing, you know. And the scene where they're all four together on the step with Madeline Kahn, Cloris Leachman, Terry Garr, Gene Wilder, and Marty Feldman, like all five of them in there, and people were. They said the camera kept shaking because Mel Brooks started laughing. They had to give him a T-shirt. But to me, the reason he did that is because you just see people play off each other, and the fun of it comes viscerally through.
Yeah.
And comedy, if you're cutting really close, the jokes can't really, like, you're creating comedy timing instead of having people that have comedy timing.
Yeah.
To me, I think that's a disservice. If you're going to have comedians, let them do their thing. Judd Apatow does that. Sometimes to a fault, too long, you know what I mean? As we all know, you know, but when he does it right, you know, it's amazing. So I think that so I knew that that's the way I wanted to shoot it. I'm shooting a lot of open frames with people coming in and out of the scene, and you're hearing people off screen, then you're seeing them, and then they walk, so you can get like, I'm shooting a play in a laundromat and having interesting camera angles behind it. So, and it'll make my shoot go well. So the shoot itself will be different than anything else, because most people spend time on, we have to light, behind her head, and now behind his head, on his point of view, and this point of view, and that. And we have to then get the coverage and all this stuff. And my process will be different. Instead of doing a set, I'm going to be spending time, which I have to argue with my producers about all the time. It's like, I'm going to be spending time having paid rehearsals, so we're ready to go, because I need to be ready to go. So I'm getting all my shot list done now. Then I'm going to be working on rehearsals for my actors, and then I got to do my thing, because I'm going to be in it. So this whole notion of indie horror, I think a lot of people go, indie horror, it'll be fun, it'll be innovative. I think those will be fun stuff. Probably not great acting. And I want to blow that out of the water, because I have Alan Ruck, Danny Roebuck, Rebecca Kennedy from Two Witches, who's just fantastic in a role that you wouldn't see her in. Felissa, who's great. Ricky Dean Logan, like, I've good work.
Stacked.
Yeah.
But that's the thing too, is the last couple years, I think what indie horror was is not what it is now. Just from like from, I'd say the last, especially in the limelight, the last couple years, right from the pandemic, I think it all changed, because everybody had to step up that notch, because you weren't getting your Hollywood movies because they weren't being made. So indie was the only thing around. Yeah. So they knew they had to step up the game, because now they were in the limelight.
Yeah.
So,
and look at Terrifier 2.
Yep.
Yeah, you saw people trading in and using getting higher quality equipment and just getting to work guerrilla style. And
well, it's so funny. People say, "Oh, you got your big break on People Under the Stairs," and I go, "You know what? No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I got cast in People Under the Stairs. We were #1 for 6 weeks, but horror in '91 was just like, there'd be a few breakouts every once in a while. Like, it's like a family movie. Until Pixar came in and like blew the family movie out of the water and redefined, like, no, when we say a family movie, it's not just something that you take the kids to and then you fall asleep on your hand while you're in the theater. No, a family movie where like literally the whole family can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Horror was like, every once in a while, something would poke through, like Halloween or Friday the 13th. But then they just milk those series where everyone's like, only the very, the narrow would get narrow. And now horror's got, to me, I was saying on a podcast the other day, I really feel like this, that horror is the new rom-com. Rom-coms used to be a big deal. Now they're not. Now it's like, comic book movies, which the comic books and sequels and stuff that the studios are doing because they're so nervous to take risks on new material, and horror movies because people are realizing that they're fun to see at home with your family and they're a blast in the theater.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's who this is for. It's for the people who come home from partying with their, adult beverages or adult gummies or anything. Gives them a good time.
There's a big gummy bears, everyone.
Yeah,
adult gummy bears. Yeah, they can drive everything.
Adult gummies, and you turn it on and you go, "What?" I go, "I gotta tell my friends." And next couple weeks, you show your friends, and then you show it at your family at the holidays, and because that's what I did with Sleepaway Kid,
Yeah.
And it's a cult movie, and so I'm making it for those because those communities are so loyal. I mean, look at Rocky Horror, man. This place near me, this theater on Santa Monica Boulevard in Los Angeles. I've lived in LA starting in 80. Now, when would I move to that apartment? I would have been like 86. And that theater's been showing Rocky Horror Picture Show, the New Art Theater on Santa, every Saturday night for 40, 50 years.
Wow. Is it packed? Awesome. Is there always people there?
Yeah.
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 Something
I mean,
to do.
obviously, if there wasn't, I wouldn't do it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a crazy thing. It's been 40 years, but I'm sure every Saturday is someone's first time seeing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what I want Crust to be. And that's the buzz that's been going around from all the articles and stuff. They're like instant cult classic. You know what I mean? And who knows, whatever, you know, nice to say. But if people can understand that's what I'm trying to do. And it was Felissa Rhodes who came up with the amazing way to say it was a creature feature horror comedy. I love that phrase because then when I say, I'm shooting it in black and white and I've got these really cool, then people go, as soon as I say creature feature, they're fine with it. But when I used to say, I'm shooting in black and white, a horror comedy, they're like, and I go, come on now, you know, Young Frankenstein, please.
Yeah.
And, Clerks, people love kids, you know, sits there and goes, I hate Clerks because it's in black and white, you know. They don't really care. So,
there's some people that just generally don't like black and white, and those people are crazy, and those people are my wife. So
that's a tough pill because things like Double Indemnity, The Apartment, you know, Casablanca, you know, come on. That stuff is crazy.
Some of the best horror movies, like the classics. I mean, I do another podcast called Black and White Fright, and we just cover strictly old school black and white horror. And it's we find so many gems. We found so many gems I've never heard of.
The OG Dracula, like, you know, Frankenstein, all those things, you know, like.
But I think.
Yeah. So, but as soon as I say that, though, I go, really? Tell me Young Frankenstein's not funny. Just go ahead. Right. Tell me you sat there for the first 5 minutes and went, the black and white's ruining. No.
Turn this off.
If you're worrying about the black and white, then you're not in anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the first scene is the book. Remember, he takes the book out of the coffin, and the skeleton's kind of going, and not like, and I go.
I think that the problem is nowadays movies rely too much on visual arts, so people are ingrained in. It's not the plot anymore. It's explosion here. Let's make it look good. Who cares about a plot? As long as the movie looks good. So I think that's ingrained in too many people's minds. But especially for the people I think you're going for, they wouldn't care if it's black and white, if you don't see anything. It's one of those things where as long as the project is great, it doesn't matter what it is. So I think you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And the people that are worried about it aren't. I don't think.
But that's the thing. Then it's not for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Because
I have people coming up to my table. And they will literally say, I just saw people under the stairs. Scariest thing I've ever seen. Another person comes up. I just saw people under the stairs. It's the funniest thing. So weird. So fun. And then I finally, like, what do I say? What do I it's a twisted movie. Because
it is.
No horror movie has an ending like that. You know, my one daughter saw it after seeing, like, Hereditary or something. She's like, all right, good night. You know, she was different. Then my other daughter was watching it, and the creepy, you know, and it's so like I don't know every moment in there, but when the daddy was trying to mess with Alice, the little girl, and it was in a weird section.
Yeah.
I'm out. See you later. Peace. Yeah. You know, and I was like, wow, like it's so weird, you know. And I was trying to tell her, I go, bad guys do bad things, you know.
Yeah, like their daddy.
Like a normal, you know, he'll get his in the end, which is normal, which is not normal, I mean. So that's what I'm looking for. And to me, you know, for me, I feel like Do the Right Thing was one of the greatest cinematic. Like, I just love Do the Right Thing so much because Spike Lee said I would show it to different audiences. And if it was a white audience or a black audience, never the two questions, you can go for an hour of questions. Not one was the same.
Oh, wow. Because
everybody's seeing a different film. So to me, those are the fun things where you share, you know what I mean? You share what your experiences were, you know? And his first movie, anyone know? Black and white? Spike Lee, first movie?
No.
She's Gotta Have It.
Okay. I know the title.
Yeah, She's Gotta Have It was black and white too.
Oh, wow. Just real quick, we do have a couple people that want to say hi. So we have...
Please do.
Sergio is in the chat saying hi. Sergio's a regular. He's here every week. What's up, Serge?
Hey.
Yeah, we have Efren from Tony's TikTok.
Mr. Mullet.
Yeah,
Juju.
Yeah, Life is Pain is saying what's up. And saying that this is an awesome live. And then we have Brother Max in the room saying, hey, everyone. So what's going on, everyone? If you have any questions for Sean, don't hesitate to type in, and I'll try to get those asked. So you have some besides the cast, you have some other like pretty notable names involved, like production wise. So there's a couple sisters that I saw involved in this. Sisters. How did that happen?
Okay, so back when I wrote it, I was at a horror convention and I met the Saska sisters, and I didn't know horror that much until I got in. I didn't really get in the horror world until Facebook, to be really honest. I got on Facebook and just friend request. And my friend goes, dude, these are fans. And I go, no, they're not. He goes, who else would they be? And so I just accepted, went ding, 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 just accepted everybody. And of course it was like, do you do horror conventions? Would you like to come, do you have any Roach 8x10s? And I was like, what? Like I had no idea.
Whoa.
But I was like, okay, because people were like, how'd you get into horror? And I was like, it came across my desk that day. Like I did a comedy the week before and that one came across. But I was talking to them and I said, I'd love for you to read this script. And I read it, and Sylvia wrote back and she goes, man, I've never read a script like this. Like, I am so excited for you. This is special. I love it. She goes, but I'm not going to lie to you. In the cookie cutter box, big world of movie making, they're not going to know where to put it. Because it's not a specific this, it's not a specific that. It's not like a pure comedy or a pure horror comedy or, she goes, it's so special because it's got heart and depth underneath it. And it was the best email. And whenever I'd get bummed about it, I would just pull up that email and just read that again and go, okay, you got to hang on, And when we were getting the Indiegogo, I thought, what, maybe I could use their quote, maybe just somewhere on the Indiegogo page or something like that. And they were both like, no, thank you. And I go, oh man, they're like, we need to do more for you than that. We love this script. We're going to do a video. We're going to get, do a perk with us. Like anything you need, we are down and we are going to put our names on it, whatever you need, because this is what, Sylvia's like, this is what indie horror is. Like, this has to be this. Imagine, when the guy came in with, so there's a plant from out of space and it starts eating someone. It's a nerdy guy, and Roger Corman's like, you got 3 days, and they shot it in 3 days, So to me, that's kind of the cool part of the whole thing was they were so helpful, so excited about it that, they're very busy with their own stuff, but they wanted to throw their weight behind it, which was super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
I was like, what? They're involved too? I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, so just real quick, you mentioned the Indiegogo. So there's only 10 days left on this round. Are you going to be doing another round of Indiegogo? Or is this
we're going to try to knock it out here because we start shooting at the end of April, and it takes 4 weeks to get the money. So we need to get the money.
Okay.
We might do another round for post, depending how this goes, another later on for just to make sure we can get the post. But, everyone, you always put down the goals that you want to hit. I mean, you don't really, that's not really the goal. You always try to show that so you can be relevant and on the pages and stuff. But, my goal, we're at like 73 as of today. And I really want to hit I want to hit 100. That's my goal because listen, I just want to deliver the movie that you guys want. And if I can do that, I can get nice paid rehearsals. So you don't worry about acting. I want to get the time and stuff to make sure that we can do everything correctly. We have a puppeteer, Crust itself is being manned by a Muppeteer. She just did, this sounds insanely cool. And I hope it is. But there's a new show that's coming on Disney Channel, and it's Dr. Teeth and the Medicine Show. The rock band.
Oh my God!
They're doing a show with all rock people coming on to be guests, like Dave Grohl. It's so dope.
That's sick.
Special guest stars, and she's like, the funniest thing is she's like, I can't really tell you too many of the big names, but some names I need to be on the screen with the guy with the blue hair and the saxophone. You know, they're like, who's like, you know, she's like, you'd think Animal would be the only one. She's like, no, like, I want to be on with the hippie girl. I want to be on with the, but I was like, but she was on that show. And so when I gave her my practical, it's, you know, people think, oh, sock puppet. It's not this. Like, it's not that. It's
a puppet made of sock. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I gave it to her and I said, is this too heavy? Do I need to redesign it? And she just went, and just, it was insane. And when I sent the video to everybody, they were like, uh-oh, this is outrageous, you know? And I'm showing people little bits at a time on lives occasionally just to let them see it. And people have been flooding me with, I want a Crust plushie. I want a Crust blanket. Some guy convinced me to make it perks. It says Life Socks, drink coffee, a coffee mug. Just ton, you know, all this merch that people want immediately. And a friend, Shantae Delon from the show Detroiters, which is a comedy show on.
I love that show. I'm just letting you know.
You do?
I've probably five times over. I've probably watched that show.
And isn't Shantae awesome?
Yes,
like
fantastic.
She's such a great, cool person. She just said, you have no idea what's going to happen to you at conventions. There are going to be people walking around with laundry baskets, shirts, you know, it's going to happen.
Where'd you get these socks?
Yeah. Well, people were like, a good friend on High School Road, he goes, is there an OnlyFans for the crusty socks? You know?
Pull them off one by one.
Oh man,
that's gonna cost you a pretty penny.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's pretty sick. So right now, from your flex goal, you're at 182%. There's 10 days left on the Indiegogo right now.
We really
awesome.
So the main thing I want to say, guys, is the cool ones we put on there is a signed script from the cast. From as you know, many of the cast members that we can get. We're getting the cool tickets to the premiere, and also I'm going to be doing a special. If you get a special thanks, it's $25. It's less than you pay for an autograph at a convention. Your name is on movie history, and I say that, you know, people go, movie history. I go, yeah, it's the first time Alan Ruck and I have acted together since being in that truck together on Twister.
Yeah.
We've never shared the screen since then. So, and when you do a special thanks, if I hit 1,000 of those, and I think we're over 100, I'm going to do, and this was voted on by fans, because I said I'll do a man wax all over my body. I will do painting, like, you know, body painting, or I'll do a drag show and be made over by a drag queen. And everybody voted for the drag show. So I was, if we hit 1,000, that's happening. So let's get 1,000 special thanks, and you'll get to
see where we at here.
It's at 119 right now. I just was scrolling.
But we really haven't done the big push yet, and that's we're starting.
And that's something that you can do, like, as if you do another campaign after, like for the, you know, that could be something else that doesn't, you know, like there's other things in here that if I lived in California, I'd be all about, like being extra in a scene for $250. You sold 3 out of 4 of those, but I would have done the 4th if I lived in California. But I don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, it's amazing. A high school friend's son is now going to be my assistant because he just graduated film school.
Oh, wow.
A woman I've known since kindergarten is coming out to be an extra because she got into acting because my mom used to do a community theater thing for kids. That's how she loved acting. She's done tons of different things, but she just retired and is like a beekeeper and honey salesperson. And she's like, well, I'll go to California and be in Sean's movie. And I was like, I mean, it's just amazing.
Bring the honey. Bring the honey.
Yeah. Well, it's so weird. Like, I just like the beehive stuff is nuts. Like, it really is. It's like, you know, making wine, you know, all about the grapes and the temperatures and all. It's just the same thing. It's nuts. Yeah. But it's really exciting to have all these people. And so one of the best descriptions I got was said, it's like Twilight Zone. And first of all, I don't know anyone who likes horror or anything that doesn't like Rod Serling. Like he's just but people love the Night Gallery the way they should, man. Night Gallery doesn't get it. Like I love Twilight Zone, but Night Gallery was dope. It was so scary and so good. And he wrote the first Planet of the Apes. He wrote the original Planet of the Apes. Yes.
Wow. I have the set on Blu-ray. I should probably look at that.
But
I've seen the movies. I just never noticed.
Planet of the Apes is a long Twilight Zone. The original Planet of the Apes. It is.
Yeah,
pretty much.
He always sets up the crazy situation. Then the middle is like the moral part, because the middle of Planet of the Apes is that huge court scene talking about, does man deserve a planet? Does man even have any kind of control since they're so reckless? And then the action at the end, right? And I'm like, that's a Twilight Zone. And, you know, the surprise ending and stuff. So someone said it's Twilight Zone meets Trauma. And I was like, and they're like, does that bum you out? And I was like,
yeah.
Imagine, like, yes, that's true. And so we got today, if her schedule permits, we have a great, cool cameo. And I'm praying her schedule permits, because she just landed the new Star Trek. But Tiffany Shepis is going to do.
Oh, geez, that's awesome.
And Brandon Adams and Jan Bertram doing a fun, because we do a bunch of fun things in the credits. And Jan and Brandon, one of the stairs, are already signed on to do something really fun in the credits.
Awesome.
But if we get to Shepis, I'm going to be like, oh my God, this is so great.
Yeah.
We had Jan on a bunch of times here.
Yeah. What's that?
We have had Jan on a bunch of times on. He's awesome.
Blast. I mean, we are me, him, and Brandon together. It's unwise. It's unwise. But no, that's true. We just have such a good time. We're like brothers. We're just morons. We turn into complete idiots. And my wife came to us. She's like, "Yeah, I'll come with you guys." And I was like, "Hey, we're doing another convention. You can come." She's like, "Oh, when's the dates?" And I get in and I go, "Who's going to be there?" I said, "Oh, Phyllis will be there." She goes, "Oh, that's great." And I go, "And me and Brandon and Jan." She goes, "I'm good." You guys do your thing.
You're all set.
Yeah. She's
so
like,
we've had Jan on so much. I've never met him in person. I still have to get to a con that he's at. I just never met him in person.
Where are you guys?
Both Angel and I are in Massachusetts, and Tony's in New Jersey.
New Jersey Horror Con, August 18th. Me, Jan, and Brandon just got announced. Or didn't we?
Is that the one at the showboat you were just talking about, Tony?
Yeah.
Is there Alpha? Was that Alpha? Let's see. Let's look it
They do it twice a year.
Yeah.
So it's one of those.
Me, Jan, and Brandon, dude. We're fun. We're a lot of fun.
Here's another thing too. I've never met Tony in person either, even though we've been doing the show forever. So maybe I'll have to make the trek, and so that way I can finally meet Jan and Tony, and then
Tony
has my fingers. This guy. No, Tony.
We've never met each other. And
how did you guys get together then?
I used to watch their podcast. They did one, him and his cousin, this other guy, the 13th Wolfman. They used to do a podcast, and I used to be a viewer. And then they would give away, like, any guest would have like a signed picture or something, and I would win these giveaways. I think it was like a 10-week period where I won every week. And they're like, "Well, you keep on winning." I'm like, "Well, if you have them, I'm going to try to win it." So they're like, "No, we're just saying, I guess you know what you're talking about." So then they got stuck with me. They invited me on for one time.
So now you can't win anymore. Yeah.
But
so we've never met in person, so that'll be an interesting weekend. You'll probably end up hating me, and you're gonna leave the show.
You guys will end up hating us.
No.
We're a blast.
Zach is saying Indiegogo for Crust is pretty cool. Just saw it the other day. You're right. A lot of really cool perks in there. But I've met you at a bunch of cons, and you're very approachable and very nice. And that says something. There's some people that aren't. Yeah,
I mean, it is weird. I did a whole thing on TikTok about people go, "You're so down to earth," and I was finally like, I don't mean to be rude. I don't feel like I'm down to earth. And they're like, and I go, I guess the question is then what do you expect? To me, I feel like I'm a person that, like, when I do a live on TikTok or whatever, they're like, "Yeah, but you talk to us." And I go, "You invite a bunch of people to your home or in your life, You don't talk to them, but then, I scroll through and I see like, I'm making pasta, and they're not even looking at the people or the comments. And I go, really, dude? Like, I have no interest in seeing that, whoever you are. Like, I just don't care. Of course I'm going to talk to you. Why wouldn't I talk to you? My job is weird, but I have a job and rent and, and my daughters are trying to get through college. I mean, the whole thing, just like everybody else. So I don't feel like I'm any different. And I said, maybe it's also partly what the fans have done as celebrities. And I'm like, what? And I said, think about it this way. If you were a plumber and you fixed a bathroom, and then your family sees the plumber that fixed your bathroom, would you want your son to run in his face and go, plunger, hot water, cold water, go for it, flush. Or thanks for fixing my bathroom.
Right.
And nerves, and I get it, but Jim Carrey said he became reclusive. He loves people watching. He loves being up, but he had to because people would just come in his face and go smoking and this, and, and they wouldn't just say, you're funny. Like, thank you for being funny, or thanks for the laughs, or anything like that, So, but I guess it's a shame when I hear people say I'm down to earth, because then the expectation means that it's pretty low, because I don't think I'm doing anything that amazing.
As a fan,
I get it 100%. Like,
we've gone to cons before, and we've all had. I'm sure we've all had some kind of experience that was like, oh, I was hoping that was going to go nicer.
But I've always, it all depends. Like, like Sean said about how people have been throughout the day. I feel like, it's got to wear a little bit. As like you said, how many fucking all days can you take? You know what I mean? Like, I've seen where people are like in the middle of signing and they're like, they just don't even say nothing. They just get up, and then their handler's like, we'll be back in about 15 minutes. And you can see them like, you know what I mean? So I get it.
To me, I had to come to terms with it, and for me, I felt like when I do a play, if I did a play, I'd get in a lobby. I'd walk around and I'd talk to people, and they'd say, we talk about the play and meet people. Well, my plays have been running for 3 decades, all day, every day, like you were saying, on Disney Channel or somewhere. And so I'm just meeting people in the lobby forever, And when I was in the 90s, my goal was, I don't want to be the Aaron Burr milk guy anymore. I don't want people to go, Aaron Burr, that was. So I wanted to become that guy character actor that I've seen you in a lot of things. And that's that was my goal. And I met that one when I met Felissa, like 8-9 years ago. She said, I don't want people to just be Angela from Sleepaway Camp. I want to be Felissa. Well, she's achieved that. And for me, people buy mostly Twister, mostly people under the stairs. So my goal for this is for people to come up and buy stuff for Crust, as well as those other things. Because how many albums has Paul McCartney put out? And I've seen him twice, and they don't yell the same, until he plays a Beatles song, right?
Yeah.
They want to see, can you make an impact with something new that is just as powerful? You know what I mean? And that's hard to do, but I'm trying.
But you mentioned it before. You said you maybe just gone into the horror genre a little bit more, but that's the beauty of it, is it's a detriment sometimes where some people are too loyal, but the loyalty of it is if they see Sean Whalen on it, on a poster or whatever, no matter what, even if they are remember you from People Under the Stairs, they're going to check it out no matter what.
Yeah.
So again, it comes down to it, and you said it, they're either going to love it or they're going to hate it, which,
but they'll check it out. But they'll
exactly. So with your name plastered on it, that's the beauty of the horror fandom.
Yeah.
Is they'll see names, and no matter what it is, it could be, I don't know an example, but they're going to check it out no matter what. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's so funny because people are like, I think you do well at Comic-Cons because of Twister. And then when I went, I'm like, this is a bunch of people who love to dress up, who love to party, but they don't really care about, they love to like party and dress up in their stuff. Horror fans are collectors. You know what I mean? they come and they want to like, I'm signing Halloween stuff, and I feel like, but dude, I was in Rob Zombie's house. They go, no, Halloween, everything Halloween, and I had a part in Rob Zombie's Halloween too, which some people dismiss, but there's so many Halloween fans that are like, no, I want everything involved with Halloween, period. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so to me, that's the difference. And I see myself signing socks until I'm dying in my grave. You know,
well, that can be good and that can be bad. I worked for TJX for a very long time, and we were doing a grand opening of AJ Wright, and Mick Foley was the guest. Like they had a celebrity guest, and socks were just, people were stealing socks all day long just so he would sign them. I'm like, oh, this is great.
Wait, where's that from?
Mick Foley. He was a
wrestler.
Mankind with the sock.
Oh yeah, Mankind. Yeah.
But
Cactus Jack for the
he's everything.
But WCW guys.
Well, sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's not. But yeah, I think because you're so approachable, and you know, you have other people like you're working with Felissa, who I generally will always say she's probably one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah,
like she's just generally like.
Well, we share the same philosophy on conventions. I saw her and we just go, well, why wouldn't we be grateful? You know, you guys are hiring me. You're my boss. That's the truth. Yeah. And if I have, you know, that, then, you know, and it looks really good. I mean, what's amazing was when the pandemic hit, I had just gotten into TikTok. And at first I was just trying to do, you know, fun little stuff with my cat and Jasper and, you know, but then everyone's like, are you from People in the Stairs? Are you that guy from Twister? You know, are you Buscemi? And then everybody's, you know, jumping on that bandwagon. And then I started doing that and having more fun and introducing some new things. So then when I went to Mad Monster Party a couple of weeks ago, when I used to walk around, and this was Robert Englund was there, a bunch of people. When I used to walk around, like 20-25% of people would be like, hey man, you know, how you doing? You know, this last time it was like 85% of the people were going, Sean Whalen, what's up? Sean Whalen, what's going on? And then people coming up to the booth said, oh, they weren't saying, oh, I love that Felissa's in Crust, or I love that Alan Ruck's in Crust, or I love that Danny Roebuck's in Crust. They would go, I can't wait to see that story. And that's when I went, yes, I'm in a good position because they care about the story more than anything else. And the way it's going now, my producer already hit me up the other day. You know, it's me and Felissa on the creative side, and then our business producer, Dan. Dan called me up and goes, dude, I hope you and your partner are working on a sequel. And I go, oh, we wrote it as a trilogy anyway. So hopefully if it falls the way it should, we'll have a part 2. So we'll see.
Awesome.
Is this Daniel John? Is that who you talking about? Yeah. He's an awesome dude. I met him for the first, like, before he had any involvement at all. He was a fan at like horror conventions, and we became friends just through conventions.
Well, he's probably 6-7 years ago.
Totally,
Wow. He studied. Look, he did his homework. He studied the genre. He studied the loyalty. He figured stuff out. And then that's the funny thing. In my Indiegogo, people said, well, I've never seen an Indiegogo page like this. And I said, why? And they said, well, under the cast, they just put credits. And I didn't do it that way. And I wrote a little blurb about why I hired this person, what they meant to me. I have students that I've done. I've had people from different things, reasons why I cast these people, why they're so special to me. And one of the things I wrote about Daniel John was, you know, he's like, I'm a producer. And I said, yeah, but you're not a sleazy Hollywood producer. And he goes, well, wait, shouldn't I just do it because he's a businessman? Why shouldn't I do it by the book and be fair to everybody? And I go, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. And I go, it doesn't happen out here all the time like that. You know what I mean? So it's so great for
just science.
Yeah. He just like, he goes, yeah, we got to do it by the book. And I don't want to break any rules. And I don't, you know, and you're like, well, he's not looking for ways to scam the actors or, you know, promise one thing and, you know, bait and switch, or he's not doing any of that because he doesn't know that. And so he really took the time to study the genre. And then he's a solid business guy. You know, he's calling me up. He's like, oh, we got to get the insurance. And I go, why? He goes, you wanted to rent this for the thing? We got to have proof of insurance, blah, 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 blah. And we're like, all right, let's go. So we, you know, he's great. He's just an asset and become a very good friend too, because I think it's just a good mix. And I have a little bias towards back East people, you know. I feel like there's an old school work ethic that just isn't out here, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's a little more phony, and Dan's just not like that.
No, he's not. He's not. Like I said,
He doesn't really know how to be.
No. Yeah. Good dude.
We've had him on for many projects.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think he's also coming up as a fan. There's a difference between people that, you know, that are in the business just for a business sense. Yep. And there's other people that are in it. I love horror movies. I wanted to do it. Look at like Adam Green. His movies are completely different because he was a horror movie fan, and you could tell the difference. Like you were saying it before, where, you know, you want to get people, even if they didn't get acting, you can tell. I've said it many a times, where you could watch a movie and just tell that the people want to be there together and make a good project, or people that are just there to be there. And you could definitely tell it on screen. So
and you go, you know, for me, when I did the Groundlings, you know, I was in it with like Lisa Kudrow, and back in the day before Will Ferrell and all that stuff. And when I would write something that was it's a guy on a date, and the date's crazy, you know, I'd write the whole thing and I'd go, no, I've seen that, you know, and I would force myself to do weird, crazy stuff, you know. And like I did Dorothy 50 years later, you know, stuck as the town crazy drunk because she thinks her happiness is going to be in the dusty backyard. You know what I mean? She totally regrets leaving Oz, and, you know, and I did weird stuff like that. And I think that's why I couldn't put out a movie that's like, let's do an 80s slasher, boobies and blood. And I can't do that. I can't do that. If I'm going to put something out, it's going to be different and interesting, because if it doesn't interest me, then I don't think anyone else would be interested in it. You know?
But those are the most memorable. Like, those movies are the ones with the craziest plots are the ones that are ingrained in my, because everything else is, you were saying, cookie cutter, and we can't play. And that's a good thing. I'd rather see movies like that instead of being like, okay, I've seen this plot or seen this like 10 times over. Like, some of my Killer Clowns from Outer Space is one of my favorite movies. My favorite horror movie because it's one of those plot lines. It's like, let me tell this to any random person, and they're going to look at me like I had 10 heads unless they've seen it before.
It's like, all right, listen. So, clowns that come from space.
All right, I'm following you.
They
run amok the town. The sheriff becomes a puppet at one point.
Rightfully so. Yeah.
My wife's a huge musical fan, and she likes horror in all genres. But Repo the Genetic Opera, like that's how I met her. She was at a convention and she was trying to meet those guys, you know. So those are the things. Because to me, that's a community that wants to be a part of it, and then just they stay loyal. They want to see what you're doing next, and that's what I'm excited about. Like, to go on that journey with them, and look, Dan read it, and, you know, other people were like, oh, you got some nudity, or did I go, no, I don't have nudity. And they're like, well, you should. That part where they're like making out, you should. I go, it's not important to what. If it was important, then maybe I'd consider, but it's not what's important. But Dan read it, and he got on the thing, and he goes, wow, I understood what you were doing here. There is some mental health stuff in there, because I had just come out of a depression stuff. And it was, he's like, I think everybody can relate to your character and going through tough times like that in a way that, you know, is still fun and entertaining, and a sock creature that is, you know, causing havoc in a laundromat. So that was dope that he totally got it. He was the first one to talk to me about it like that. And I went, oh, wow. And then, you know, when you do that, you go, oh, let me show you the trailers for movies that we've done. And you're like, oh, God, I hate this part. You know what I mean? Because you're like, oh, God, I hope it doesn't suck.
Right. Because then are you going to be honest? You know, you're going to be like, not really my cup of tea.
But they looked good. The acting was important. You know, the DP on the ones that I like to go, who's that kid? And they had me meet him. And this kid will not be hireable in 5 to 10 years in independent horror, because he's just so passionate. He totally gets what I'm doing. I made him watch a lot of movies that had that kind of open frame early. You know, I know it's not terrible person, but the way he directed, I always loved was Woody Allen, who left it open and people would just move through the frames and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
I made him watch old school stuff and have him watch, you know, Double Indemnity, which is, you know, to me, the hands down best noir movie there is. And so, and he's passionate and he just wants to, like, he'll sit there and I know now that we've been storyboarding, he'll go, and I go, yeah, and I think we should live here. We have a map, and I'll be like, and put the camera here and maybe through here, and I'll be like, yeah, and I go, God damn it, because I can tell when he's excited. He's like, oh, let's do that, and then he'll be like, nice. Go, yes, you know, and he'll take a shot and just make it 10 times better through his suggestions, and you know, he's got really fun, cool ideas. And there's a noir type character in my movie, and he's like, ooh, wait till I see, you know, we're gonna have cool, like noirish shadows, you know.
Yeah,
if you're black, you gotta study shadows, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's the one thing. Yeah, well, that's
just with shadows. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of people just like think it's just like switching, you know, the switch from color to black and white, but you really have to know how to light. And like, it's a whole different animal.
It's funny because, you know, you get the creative and the business side, and then, you know, me and Jaren, the DP, will be like, we need to talk to the costume person, and you know, finally they're like, we have one, don't worry. I go, it's not about knowing we have one. We have to talk because the costumes, we have to talk about textures, because you know, different textures are going to show up differently than different color. You know, you're not dealing with colors, you know. Mm-hmm. So, you know, Jaren was like, yeah, we want to talk to her and figure out textures and costumes for people, like, you know, and I thought, that's really, really cool to
do some tests.
Yeah, he's doing like testing and all this kind of cool stuff. And so I'm trying to take the indie horror thing and say, no, it can be, look, there's a lot of really great indie horror for different reasons. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'm like trying to, when I did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, my, you know, Kane invited me to do that with him. Scout Taylor Compton stuff was so great. And I got to play the hitchhiker, and he's like, you should watch the original one. And I was like, oh man, it just seems like, you know, not. And when I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I went, oh, yeah. I get it. Like, he had no reason.
It's my favorite horror movie. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, but he had no reason to do that. He didn't have to do those crazy, interesting shots and have like a first, you know, a protagonist in a wheelchair and just interesting, you know, and the way he made the hitchhiker weird was not just like, I'm weird, you know what I mean? He just had and the appreciation I had for when, like, Leatherface just jumps out of the room and just grabs a girl and pulls her in the room, and I go, no big music, like dun dun dun.
Nope. Yeah. And then the door shuts.
Yep.
It's silent. And he just takes it. It's way scarier because that feels like in that
real.
Yeah. And
it feels like so much like a documentary. Like it's so good.
And I just, wow, why is he like laying on the ground and shooting up as these guys are walking in the distance? Like he tried to choose some really interesting stuff to make it amazing. And that's why I said, now I finally understand why people love this movie. You know, I totally so I think that's the kind of goal, is to just people to have a great time and go, I want to see it again, and I want to turn people onto it and stuff. So, you know, that's what we're in the Indiegogo to so we can support we're not making it for the Walmarts or the Targets or whatever. You know, people are like, if you get it on the shelf at Walmart. And a friend called me up and said, yeah, I still work at Walmart, dude. Don't go for that. And I go, why? And they said, because they're on there for a week, and then they're in the bin the next week.
And they're in the Sarlacc pit that I'm digging through.
It doesn't really, and so you can't make your vision for anybody. It's, here's what I'm selling. It's just like saying, I'm making sugar cereal for everyone. Well, I'm too old to eat sugar cereal, bro. I can't eat it anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so you make something that's good, and not everyone's gonna like it. You know what I mean? So that's. But the people who will not like it. They'll love it and be loyal. So that's why we're doing the Indiegogo.
Yeah, and those people will carry, you know, the word of mouth and, hey, check this out. You know, with like some of the like Skinamarink
Yeah.
all that stuff. You know,
I thought Jamie was going to be in the chat tonight because she looked like she wanted to come in, but she wasn't here. We've had she played the mom in Skinamarink, and she was on the show, and she's been popping up in our chat like for like a while. It's pretty awesome. She's great.
When I did a con, and I was just like, oh my god, my wife's like, what's the matter? And I was like, it's the dude from Reanimator. Like, I was like, oh, I love that dude.
Yeah.
Reanimator to me was so cool.
Yeah.
Movie, it's so great. But those are the kind of things that's what I want to do, is to give that. And again, make my goal that it's like, oh, he's the guy from Twister and Roach and Crust. And he created, you know what I mean? That's my goal. So
and so much other stuff. Like,
dude, you've been in, I could say everything. Right now.
Close to everything.
Close to everything.
Wasn't in Game of Thrones, or
Well, you know what I mean. Like,
but you could have been. Let's face it. Yeah.
Sure, I could have been. But that's great. I feel very.
I mean, you've been in Lost.
That
was one of the humongous show.
Yeah.
You know, what else on TV here? Lewis and Clark.
Friends, NYP Blue,
Waterworld. Someone mentioned Waterworld. It was MP Savvy. Yeah, MP. So here's the thing with Superstore, and I mentioned it to you because I was like, this is fantastic. You were in one episode and you died in the episode, and then years later they found your corpse in the wall.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. This is my theory. We were like, why didn't you? Because I kept putting on hold. They put me on hold, and then they would say, we don't need you this week. You're going to be in this episode. You're not going to be because they said creepy, and they didn't know what that meant. Yeah. And so when they did this thing that I thought pushed the boundaries about like checking out this guy's kids and these daughters and stuff, and it was a funny scene the way they did it, but I was like, oh, this will never be on the air, and the producers were like, why? And they go, it's creepy, and I said, well, it's a little like pushing boundaries, and he goes, no, it isn't. And the whole crew literally goes, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
And I go, well, hopefully then we'll make it on air because I'll be dead in the water if that's. And it was on the air, and I go, I'm done. There's nowhere to go from there. You know what I mean? And I thought, because you have to specify what creepy means, and so it was fun, and I get it, and they were super, super cool, very cool, and I just you. The creative things, you never know which way they're going to go.
Yeah. But still, it's awesome to see you in that stuff. And I think the last time I saw you at a con, when I was up in the hotel room, I was watching Scrubs before I was getting ready to go down, and you were in Scrubs. I'm like, I literally just saw you on Scrubs like a minute ago. And you pop up in so much stuff. It's awesome. Like I'm like, D. Wallace shows up in everything too. Like I was just watching something, and like my wife was watching 911. I'm like, that's D. Wallace. She's like, how do you know? I'm like, it's D. Wallace. It is. Yeah. And
the only thing I really haven't done is like an old school. Now I did it in a Western for Ang Lee. It was called Ride with the Devil, the one with Jewel and Tobey Maguire. I'm very good at being in huge directors and huge stars' worst grossing movies. I did That Thing You Do, which opened at number 5. Tom Hanks' worst opening ever. Drew Barrymore's worst opening ever. Never Been Kissed, because it was against some stupid computer movie. Why would anyone watch a thing called The Matrix? We were like, okay, so then it's that. But these movies have lived on. Never Been Kissed has lived on. That Thing You Do, people love.
The Thing You Do is like,
I love that movie.
For musicians,
I love that movie.
Cult following,
like I'm a musician, and like all my musician friends were all about that movie. And my wife still watches the Drew Barrymore one because she loves her.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, and then Ang Lee's movie, but it was a Western, but I've never played like a hardcore Western. I've done like kid shows, independent, big, little, all these different kind of things. And I go, but I haven't been able to play a Western. And right now, it's like older guys like me, they're putting just the creepiest, the creepiest parts, And so I'm like, hey, how you doing? It's fine. It's like, I'm the crappy, the mean doctor, or the crappy college professor, or the whatever. And I'm like, I'm down, It's better than saying, it's all young teenage women. You're not going to be in it,
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah. Well, it's about that time. And
I have one thing. Batman Returns.
Yes, sir.
How was that?
That's when people ask me like, what was the a most amazing set. I mean, Twister was amazing because it was like a traveling circus, but it wasn't like a set, right? But the set for that was out. It was hot in the valley. It was August. It was like 105, and you walk from your trailer, and I'm wearing winter clothes.
Yes.
You go woo when you go through like those refrigerator plastic things. Push like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you open the door, and it was 32 degrees, so you could see your breath.
Oh wow!
Huge town square of Gotham City, and I was like, oh, I'm in a big movie. This is not kidding around. Like, it was so cool. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's my favorite Batman is Batman Returns.
Yeah, Batman Returns.
That. A lot of people have been telling me that lately as I go on podcasts, But I think it's because it was the best Penguin and the best Catwoman we ever had. I mean, I understand what Colin Farrell was doing, but Danny DeVito's Penguin, I thought, was one of the greatest dramatic things he's ever done.
Yeah.
Because it was
I play this city like a heart from hell.
Oswald Cobblepot.
Yeah. And then obviously her as Catwoman was just amazing.
I love Michelle Pfeiffer. Like, I think that might be the reason.
Christopher Walken.
But I just love when she all that crazy stuff, and she just gets rid of it. Just meow. Great. It's so great. But yeah, it's been really good. But thank you guys for your time.
Yeah, man. Thank you. This was awesome.
Everybody, you want to see me in drag. You think about it every day. I need to see Sean Whalen do a drag show.
That's right.
Special thanks on the Indiegogo.com. Please support independent movies. Please support people who want to give you what you want. Yes. So, and if you can, it's fine. Like, there's bigger problems in the world, but, I think it's fun.
Yeah,
no, I'm excited. I'm excited for this, and definitely. So you start shooting in April, and we can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
It's finished.
The anticipation is getting kind of crazy because I've gotten fan art already. Someone sent fan art, and then someone was talking about they were I did a live, and they were doing fan theories.
Huh.
You don't even know the movie yet. The guy's like, I think Crust is a brain tumor in this guy's head, and it's a dream, and the sock monster is just, and I was like, wow, like already that's the theory, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. That means people are ready,
Yeah.
Well, maybe you won't have to think too much for the sequel. Just take a little bit of everything and just combine it. And
I kind of like that brain tumor idea. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, user 079. Thank you.
Yeah. And lawyer up.
Yeah. Yeah, we have people saying great show. Good to hear from you, Sean. And definitely. And again, thanks again for coming on. We can't wait. And if you're at a con that Sean's there, obviously go meet him. He's a great dude.
Yes. I love meeting people. I love it.
It's just don't be one of those guys that gets all dorked out.
Just don't scream in my face, Aaron Burr. Like, I'll be pretty
Yeah. I recently got like intimidated at a con, and it was the first time in a very long time. And I got to interview Dave Foley from Kids in the Hall, and I was just like, I felt so dumb. I apologized afterwards.
You did. You apologized during. I remember. You're like, I'm sorry, but you went into it. But
yeah. I haven't watched it because I refused to. But anyways, so besides the Indiegogo, is there anywhere else you want people to follow you for news on the movie?
At Crust Movie. You can follow me at Sean Whalen Actor on any social media. TikTok's really fun. Instagram. But those are the real places to follow me. And cool. I'm trying to figure out how people want the journey of me doing this. Yeah. I'm going to be figuring that out. That might be a Patreon or something, or just a daily thing. You'll see. But because for me, I'm learning every day too. So if people saying, why would, there's a lot of filmmakers on here, and I go, yeah, but there's not one that hasn't done it before, and I'm learning every single day. Or sat down with the schedule and the script today, and I go, how the heck are we supposed to figure this out? Because if one guy's shooting this day and we don't have the puppeteer on this day, but then they want to get it, oh, let's shoot this person out. I go, yeah, but then you're going to have to bring in all these people for the, it's nuts. And these guys, wow, it's incredible how people get this done. It's just so hard.
And it's your directorial debut as well, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So that's another reason. That's another reason to support
hats.
this. Yeah.
Many hats.
That's kind of every kind of hat.
Big
so yeah, go follow Sean everywhere. And Angel, what about you?
Just hit up That Strange Show. We just dropped our newest episode.
Nice.
It was a little season opener. We're on our 6th season, I think, and Kevin is a new 4th guy on the show. So check out. He's been on it a bunch of times, just like I've been on here, but official. But That Strange Show, and follow me on Chaos Manus on Instagram.
And speaking of TikTok, Tony, by the way, Efren, and you also had MP Savvy in the room saying what's up, Tony. But Tony's doing pretty good on TikTok himself. Tony, what about yourself?
You can follow me at Tony Has 9 Fingers on YouTube, where I do movie reviews, unboxings, anything movie related. You'll find me there. Tony Has 9 Fingers on Twitter, which I don't use. Tony Has 9 Fingers on TikTok, where I'll do a whole bunch of reviews and anything movie related on there. Almost 21,000 followers, almost there.
Nice.
So I do a bunch of lives, whether it's me showing off movies that maybe people haven't heard of, and the one thing is that the one movie that always comes up, well, actually 2 of your movies, Twister and People Under the Stairs. Do you have it? Do you have it? Do you own it? So there's definitely a fandom for both movies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in a weird way, Twister's a cult movie too.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people ask for that. They're like,
I love Twister.
Some people, and that's the funny thing is, like younger people, they're like, "Do you have the tornado movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, Twister," and I'm like,
"About Sharknado?"
Yeah, right, exactly.
But yeah, check me out. And then, of course, here on the I was going to say the Dorkening Wicked Horror Show every Tuesday, whether we have an awesome guest like Sean or it's just horror movie chatter. Definitely check us out, Kevin.
Yeah. You mentioned the Dorkening. We're on the Dorkening podcast.
Yeah, we are on the Dorkening podcast.
Right. So you weren't wrong. But yeah, you can find me A-Knuckle on Instagram. I don't really do much else social media wise. And then just here in Black and White Fright, and now That Strange Show. So thanks for watching / listening, because this is going to go up a week from now as an audio podcast. And everyone have a great night, and thanks for participating in the chat. And
we'll last day of Indiegogo is the 16th, so
it'll go up before that. So we'll get some listeners to jump in there and get you in drag.
Drag me, everybody.
That's right. All right, well, have a good one, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.